What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another episode of Junior and the Big Dog, the best place you'll find Miami Hurricanes football content as well as sports in general. But today we're going to be talking about the one, the only University of Miami. We're going to be talking about an idea that one of you guys have, Canes for Life, I believe, is the one that gave us the idea of covering the coaching staff because there's a lot of new hires on the offensive side of the football. So we figured we'll do a video and dive into the new hires and give you some background to get more familiar with the coaching staff. So with that being said, Big Dog, how's it going, baby? How you feeling?
Feeling fantastic as always. Is all about the you.
Yes, sir.
Have my early Father's Day gift hanging up here on the door,
Yes,
and
sir.
which you gave me, and I'm sitting on another one.
Yeah.
So I'm just happy talking about the you, and thank you, Canes for Life. Listen, guys, we love the comments. I think you all have seen that we always respond. So this idea for a breakdown of the coaching staff of all the new hires was from Canes for Life,
Mhm.
and came in those comments and those back and forths. So we love the support that we're getting, and this is so comment and let us know what you guys want to see. And this was his idea, so he deserves credit for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh,
I mean, I think you guys giving us ideas of what you guys want to see. I think that's very beneficial to us. Makes the work a little easier for us, to be honest with you, because we want to bring you guys content that we know you're gonna like. So
right.
comment on things that you guys want us to talk about, and we'll go ahead and try to get it done for you. Before we get into today's video, though, like, comment, subscribe, share if you can. We would really appreciate it. Over 60% of you guys watching are not subscribed to our channel. So, I mean, if just a few of you guys, if you guys enjoy the content that we're bringing, please do subscribe. It'll really help us out and, hopefully take us into another level into the future. But, we're nothing without you guys. So, with that being said, man, you want to go ahead and jump into it?
Let's jump into it. I think the hire that everybody's most excited about is our new offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, Dan Enos.
Hmm.
We want to give you some background on these guys so you get to know a little bit more personally where they're from. Enos graduated from Michigan State with a degree in business administration in 1991 and earned his master's in sports administration in 2006. Originally from Dearborn, Michigan, his wife Jane and him have two children, Leah and Alex. He was a heck of a player. People don't realize this. Enos was a quarterback at Michigan State, which is his alma mater, and he had I believe his career completion percentage was 62. And so he was a really good quarterback. I think he
Smart.
had a 16-7-1 record. So he started 24 games as a QB
Hmm.
at Michigan State. He, of course, was the QB coach at Alabama last year, where they set a record for the highest quarterback rating in history as a team with, of course,
Tua.
Tui.
Tua.
Tua. I'm not even going to try. You go ahead,
Tua.
man.
No, Tua.
Let's just call him Tua. Just
I'm not
Tua.
gonna try to say. I'm not gonna try to say his last name. With Tua and
Tua.
Jalen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm good. We'll just say Tua and Jalen Hurts, of course.
yeah.
Um, his to go back to his coaching career, he has been a head coach before at Central Michigan. He was a head coach from 2010 to 2014. But he has a long coaching career. Even though he looks like a young guy, he's really been coaching almost 30 years,
Yeah.
which is amazing when you think about it. That he looks like a relatively young guy. He's only 50.
Hmm.
Uh, Coach as a graduate assistant from 91 to 93 at Michigan State. 94, 95, he coached at Lakeland as offensive coordinator, QB, and receiver coach. 96 at Northern Michigan, offensive coordinator and running backs coach. 97 and 98, Southern Illinois. 99, Missouri State. 2000 to 2002 at Western Michigan, he was QB's coach. 2003 at North Dakota State, which we know is a powerhouse in their division. 2004 and 5 at Cincinnati. 2006 QB coach at Michigan State, and from 2007 to 2009 he was running backs coach, and then we said he was head coach at Michigan. Then was the OC, offensive coordinator at Arkansas, 2015 to 2017. Was an assistant B coach, and of course now to Miami.
Hmm.
Um, does make me nervous that he's that well traveled. Has moved around quite a bit, but the guy is an offensive whiz. I mean, you look at his 3 seasons at Arkansas. He took an offense that was struggling and just blew up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Brandon Allen, I forgot where he was. He was in like the low 50s in completion percentage, then was well over 60s as soon as Dan Enos became the offensive coordinator. Made Hunter. He actually had 2 high draft picks among tight ends, which I think he's going to do with Miami. Hunter Henry and Jeremy Sprinkle. So this is a guy who's an offensive whiz. He's a QB whisperer because we know our QBs have talent. You know, we have 3 guys that were in their class, top tier guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so Enos has experience with a QB coach, having been a successful quarterback, having been a very good QB coach, having been a very productive offensive coordinator. Listen, this guy was the cream of the crop. And the way Manny was able to get him away from Alabama, you talk about recruiting battles. How about getting Dan Enos away from Alabama and Georgia?
Right.
Who was going after him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Bama was in line, to be the offensive coordinator there at Bama. So obviously it's not I understand the concern about him being all over the place a little bit, especially I didn't even know he was a running backs coach until we looked it up. So that was kind of weird. But yeah, he has traveled quite a bit, but I mean, look what he did with Tua and Jalen. Mind you, I understand they're amazing talents and whatnot, but fact of the matter is that he did a heck of a job and he earned the respect from Nick Saban, obviously, to be in line for that offensive coordinator position. The fact that Manny was able to bring him in, take him away from Bama, take him away from Saban, I think shows a lot. And I think one of the things, we saw with N'Kosi Perry, he took the spring over, basically, and N'Kosi Perry just looked different, and then we understand and we're excited about the kind of offense that he's going to bring to this team. But he's working, he's trying to teach these guys the correct mechanics to try to make, N'Kosi that's had accuracy issues in the past, a more accurate quarterback. He's really, and he's amping up the competition. I mean, I saw him at the scrimmage in Travis Powell just laying into the offensive line, just going crazy. So he has a fire to him, which you love to see. And I think that's what Manny, really liked about him. Not just bringing in an intelligent mind on the offense side of the football, but also a guy that's really going to buy into what Manny's trying to do. And I think Enos he's spoke nothing but high praises with Manny. As a matter of fact, I think Manny said one of the reasons why he brought him in was because he was one of the toughest offenses to defend, frankly. Mm-hmm. He always had Manny on his toes and stuff like that. So Manny always remembered that, and that's why he was so excited to go ahead and bring Enos in. So I'm excited, man.
Manny was the DC, the defensive coordinator at Mississippi State in 2015, and Dan Enos' offense at Arkansas put up a 50 burger. Yes. I think it was like 50-49 or something like that was the final score.
Yeah.
So he respected Enos' offense. And if you look at his offenses at Arkansas, I mean, man, they were successful in everything. Mm-hmm. They had a great passing game. They had a rushing game. Alex Collins, I think he rushed for like 1,400 yards under Dan Enos' offense. Mm-hmm. So this is a guy who is a QB whisperer. You mentioned about the QB's improvement. Mm-hmm. First off, I wanted to go back to, for people that didn't know, and Enos sort of, I think, admitted this, he was actually negotiating with Bama because the new Maryland head coach was the offensive coordinator last year with Bama. And Bama went to hire Enos as their offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. Georgia was trying to get Enos. Enos was actually negotiating for a new contract as the offensive coordinator at Bama when Manny won him over. And he was actually supposed to be in charge of an offensive staff meeting that Nick Saban didn't even know where Enos was. Is
one of the quotes was like, "Where the F is Enos." I think one of the
right.
quotes was so
right. And Enos, was fell in love with the idea of going to Miami, really fell in love with Manny's energy and the vision that Manny had. And I mean, you look at the guys that we were talking about, of Larry Fedora and all these guys, and we get Dan Enos.
Yeah.
And that was like, man, you know, Manny made a comment that he had a top 3 and that the number 4 was an amazing guy.
Yeah.
And when I saw him pull Dan Enos, I went, man,
that came out of left field because nobody saw that coming.
You couldn't get a better guy. And one of the things that Enos does, which I think is brilliant, and that's one of the reasons why, because if you remember, Jalen Hurts was known as a great running quarterback, great leadership skills, very mature, had all those intangibles, but he wasn't a great passer. That's why Tua took the job from him.
Right.
Jalen Hurts last year completed, I think it was 72%. It was over 70 for sure. 72% of his passes.
That's crazy.
So that's the type of difference. And the reason why Enos is such a quarterback whisperer, that he's a guy that not only does he break down all the little techniques in terms of how you do your drop back, in terms of the way you set up, in terms of the way you get rid of the ball, your footwork, timing, all these things, getting you to have your brain move faster so your body can actually slow down and you can have proper mechanics. He does individual drills for guys. So, for example, after spring, the way that he did it is, okay, Tate, here's the drills I want you to work on, because we need to improve your footwork under center. We need this. We need, so he gave him specific drills. Okay, Jaron, these are the specific drills that you have to work on to improve your deficiencies. Right. Okay, and Cozy, same thing. So he had 3 quarterbacks, all of them with different drills to do. And one of the things that they said was going to be a determining factor in who's the quarterback is on how hard you worked at those drills to improve those efficiency.
Absolutely.
So I think it was obviously the number 1 recruit that Miami got after Manny Diaz became the head coach was Danny Enos.
Yeah. And
without a doubt.
And I don't want to seem like, I know a lot of people, Canes fans, I know some of them think that we have our blinders on sometimes when we're expecting nothing less than a 10-win season. But, I mean, look at, last year and the year before last, especially when we started off 10-0. I mean, we started off 10-0 with subpar quarterback play. And last year, a lot of teams started to figure out, well, these guys are not going to beat us throwing the ball. So, teams started playing us much differently compared to the way they played us in 2017. Right. So you obviously saw the drop-off that you saw on the offense side of the football. And then, we've already covered and talked about all the criticisms of Rick and his decision-making when it came to the quarterbacks. And his play calling, frankly, was one of them as well. Although a lot of people would make an argument that his hands were kind of tied behind his back. But that was, he kind of dug that hole himself based on the decisions that he made at the quarterback position. So I think, at least for me, Big Dog, I have a feeling that compared to years past, I'm excited, not just because of Enos and not just because of the talent that we have in the quarterback room, but I truly feel like he's giving each and every one of these guys, the quarterbacks is what I'm talking about, a fair shot and just the same amount of time for them to improve as a quarterback than he is, maybe somebody else who people think might be a favorite. He's not giving Nkosi more attention than Tate. He's not giving Jerry more attention than Nkosi. I just feel like he's really doing his best to elevate the games of every single quarterback in that room. So that's something that I'm really excited about because regardless of whoever comes out on top, he's making everybody better. And then when you have competition around you that's pushing you, and when the competition around you is getting better, that's only going to make you better as a player, or it should only make you better as a player. Right. So that's something that I'm really excited about that Enos has done with the quarterbacks. And when it comes to the offensive play calling, we saw it. Who was the receiver that was it? Harley?
Motion.
Yeah,
motion.
I think it was Harley, right? I'm pretty sure it was Harley that posted it. Motion. And I still remember the very first time that the fan base actually got to see a little bit of the offense at the first scrimmage at Travis Powell. As soon as people saw motion, the crowd went crazy. Oh, everybody started clapping and stuff like that. So obviously sarcastic claps and sarcastic, hoorays and whatnot. But the fact that he's moving, players around and he's gonna keep defenses on their toes. I mean, that's something that I think everybody's excited about when it comes to Enos.
One thing I encourage people is, and you can find this pretty easily on YouTube. Go on YouTube and pull up Arkansas offensive videos from 2015 to 2017, and you're gonna love what you see.
Yeah,
because he's like the mad scientist when it comes to offense. Everybody, look what he's doing with us in just a short time. He doesn't even have the whole offense installed. He probably has 50-60% of the offense installed.
Right.
Now, starting fall camp, the whole offense is going to be installed. And look at what he does. Of all the receivers have to learn all three different positions. X, Y, and Z. They have to learn to be in the slot. They have to learn to be outside. Running backs, putting them at different spots, using a fullback, using two tight end sets. Tight ends will be on the line, then both tight ends will be split out. One tight end will be in the backfield, and one will start off on the line. All he's trying to do is create mismatches, create uncertainty on the defense. And what did Manny talk about? He wanted to see an offense that goes along with our defense.
Yes.
That's the same way. That makes people uncomfortable, makes people make decisions on the fly, gets them confused, wreaks havoc.
Yeah.
What does Manny like seeing on defense? Guys penetrating, guys, blowing up the plays in the backfield, pressure constantly. Then maybe he'll pull back and play a soft zone.
Yeah.
So he always wants the other team to be uncomfortable. Enos does the same thing on the offensive end. That's an amazing hire.
And one of the points that I think hasn't really been addressed much, because we feel like it's in good hands and we feel like we're not going to have to worry about the defense at all. I mean, the fact that our offense is getting better and the fact that Enos is running this type of offense and trying to keep a defense on their toes, this makes our defense better.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's something that I don't think has really people have really talked about that much, because they're so focused on purely the offense. Guys, right. This is going to take our defense as well to another level. This is going to, I mean, like I said, competition just raises the level, raises the stakes on both sides of the ball. So when you have the defense going against the Mark Richt's offense, they kind of know what's coming. They kind of know already. Obviously, they know their quarterback better than other defenses do. So they play him a certain way, and so it's kind of they might reach a plateau. They can't really get that much better because of the deficiencies on the offense side of the football, especially when it comes to the quarterbacks. But hey, man, what Enos is bringing to the table, and our quarterbacks are getting better. The offenses that he runs, you mentioned the tight ends, spreading them out. I mean, whatever it might be, this is just gonna make our defense that much better. So that's something that I'm excited about. And yeah, man,
yeah,
I can't.
Shaq and Pinkney talked about it when they asked Shaq and Pinkney. Yeah, they asked, and you're talking about 2 4-year starters.
Yeah.
So these are 2 guys that have started since their freshman season the entire way.
Yeah.
And when they ask Shaq and Pinkney, it's like, yeah, man, it's like you don't know where anybody's gonna be. They're constantly moving around, and he goes, it keeps you on your toes. It makes you make decisions, really quickly. And when you force quick decisions and you show people looks that they haven't seen before, what happens? Guys blow assignments, guys make mistakes, guys take a wrong step. And listen, sometimes one wrong step by the defender, and it's a touchdown.
Yeah.
So especially with the talent and speed that we have on the offensive end.
Yes, sir.
So that is, to me, listen, Manny is definitely 1A in terms of what we did after Mark Richt resigned, but Dan Enos is a really close second.
Absolutely.
And he's a really, he might be a 1B.
Yeah. And then
more close second.
Since we went ahead and we started talking about the defense, you want to go ahead and get into Butch Berry?
Well, no, but you're going to go to Butch with the offensive line coach. Let's do that. We'll go with Butch Berry, and then later on we'll go back to because there is 2 new coaches on the defensive side. So we'll go to Butch Berry, who's the offensive line coach. I'm sorry.
What the? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. What
got confused on the paper I sent with Blake Baker being the defensive coordinator being second, but we'll go Butch Berry.
Yeah. What I say? Oh, Butch Berry. I said Butch Berry defense.
No, yeah, I think you were thinking we were going to Blake Baker.
I got you. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I thought we were gonna go to Blake Baker.
Yeah, that was my fault. The way I had the research set up, but yeah, we're going to go to Butch Berry, who's the offensive line coach.
Yeah.
Let's give you some background on Butch. First off, I love this hire. You know, this is a really important hire. I think he's going to make. I mean, you look at what he's doing with Zion Nelson already, and then you have tremendous talent in Navon Donaldson, DJ Scaife, Corey Gaynor, Kayleon Herbert, John Campbell, Cleveland Reed. I mean, we have a lot of guys with talent, and he's really, really going to coach them up.
He's the one that, that's why Osmond Traore. That's why we got Osmond Traore. I think Butch Berry was a big reason of that, and we also
Jalen Rivers
just landed Jalen Rivers last week. So I think that's another reason why people, I feel like recruits are excited about the NFL experience that he brings. And
that's the big selling point for sure.
They feel like, being that he has the NFL experience, he knows what it takes to get to the next level, and I think that's why we're seeing. Hopefully we see it with Isaiah Walker coming up. I mean, we'll see how that shakes out, but these recruits are taking notice of Butch Berry, and they wanna get better, but ultimately they want to get to the NFL, and Butch Berry has experience there. So
I'll say this: I give almost 100. Enos deserves some credit. I give almost 100% for the Jalen Rivers commitment to Butch Berry.
Yeah,
because you could tell that young man wants to be coached by Butch Berry because he believes, and I believe, frankly, he has first-round NFL talent type of a player in Jalen Rivers.
Yeah.
By the way, we talked about this yesterday. Jalen Rivers is the 32nd ranked overall player in ESPN's top 300. So I know 247 at 247 composite still has them very highly ranked, but they have them lower than that. But that gives you an idea. And I think Jalen Rivers talked about it. He talked about how important it is that Butch Berry is a type of coach that has that NFL experience. Let me give him. You want to give him the background on Butch?
Yeah. So he played offensive line at CMU, earning academic All-American conference honors as a senior. He has a wife, Andrea, two daughters, Aislinn and Bridget. He spent the past 4 seasons as an assistant offensive line coach for the Bucks, which is what we talked about. Him bringing that NFL experience and how recruits.
And by the way, had tremendous success. Believe it or not, I know the Buccaneers have had some down years recently.
Yeah,
their offensive line played really, really well. In all the ways that you grade an offensive line, they were one of the better units in all of the NFL.
Yeah.
And the 4 years that Butch Berry was there. Yeah. So I do want to throw that in there, but go ahead.
And you brought in you talked about Enos having a big impact. I mean, he coached 5 seasons at Central Michigan with Enos. So, obviously Enos knows Berry and knows what he could bring to the table. So, I mean, I just think, that was before the Bucks, but Enos already knows what Butch Berry could bring to the offensive line. And I'm pretty sure Enos was aware of our offensive line issues, even though I think it was more blown up than it should have been. A lot of people are a lot more concerned about the offensive line, frankly, than maybe me and you are, Big Dog. But Enos knew that the offensive line is something. I mean, you can't win games unless you win the trenches. So Enos understands the importance of that, and the fact that he coached with Butch Berry. I mean, he knows what he could bring to this team. So I think Enos bringing Butch Berry in was huge, and we're already seeing it with recruits coming in. With Traore, with obviously Jalen Rivers, hopefully Isaiah Walker. I mean, I just feel like Butch Berry can get us back to having a dominant offensive line, and I think that's just going to obviously benefit this team. In the years
you mentioned the other hot shot tackle. I mean, there's a couple. This is actually a pretty good year in South Florida for tackles and coming out of high school. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Isaiah Walker Jr. Isaiah Walker has visited just this week. He is going to Miami tomorrow we're filming this on Saturday, so he's going to Miami on Sunday just because he wants to be at the big man camp to be coached by Butch Berry.
Yeah.
So here's a guy who's committed to South Carolina, because remember, we're still trying to get Walker to back off the commitment he has to South Carolina and to go to Miami. Well, this is a guy that's going to Miami on Sunday just to be coached up by Butch Berry, and that's what he said. Yeah. He was basically going to that camp after just visiting Miami a few days ago. He's going back to Miami just because of Butch Berry.
Exactly.
So that gives you an idea what type of relationship he builds with these kids and how much these kids love the way he coaches.
Yeah. So I mentioned his stint with Enos. He was the offensive line coach in 2014. This was previous to his stint with the Bucs. He coached the tight ends from 2010 until 2013. And in 2014, he paved the way for, hopefully you guys know, Thomas Rawls, rushed over 1,000 yards. He began his career with the Chippewas as a graduate assistant in 2002 to 2003. Prior to coaching stops at Southwest Minnesota State University, that was in 2004 until 2005. Michigan Tech University, 2006, 2008, and North Greenville University in 2009. So he's moved up the ranks in his coaching career, obviously, with the most recent stint being in the NFL with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So
and that's a good point. And one of the other things that's a really good point is, think about this: there has been head coaching changes in the Buccaneers, and they kept
them.
They kept him on the offensive line.
Exactly.
So Barry's a tremendous hire. Yeah. He really is. He is he's right up there for me, I'd say, with Blake Baker, with our new D coordinator that we have, who I love that hire. So I would have those guys more or less in terms of importance. I think, obviously you have Manny as the head coach, but very smartly, he's going to have Blake Baker is the one that's going to be handling the defense's play calls and those type of things. So, but Barry, I think, was a huge, huge gift for us.
Right.
And I think he's going to pay a lot of dividends at that offensive line.
Absolutely.
So you want to go ahead and go to the next one?
Offensive side of the football. Let's go to running backs coach Eric Hickson.
I love this hire. Not so much. Listen, I like Thomas Brown, the prior running backs coach that we had, who's now at South Carolina doing the same thing. Hickson, well, give his bio first, and we'll get into Hickson and tell you one of the reasons why I like him so much, because I think you'll see it in the bio.
Okay, well, yeah, Hickson has a wife, Keisha, and he has one son, Eric Jr. He left Kansas State in 1999 as the school's all-time leading rusher with 2,537 yards and 26 touchdowns. So, I mean, he has experience as a player, obviously, and that still marks the 5th and 7th in program history. I mean, respectively. So he was a stud. He was a 3-year starter and a 2-time team captain.
That's important. Yes. That's really, really important. He was a team captain even as a junior.
Exactly.
Shows you what type of man he was in college and the maturity and leadership that he showed, that he was a 2-time team captain. K-State, that they're the history of their head coach. For him to be a 2-time team captain says a lot about his character. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
100% his character. He was drafted in 1999 by the Bucs as an undrafted.
He was undrafted.
I'm sorry, undrafted in 1999 as a free agent, and he played in the XFL as well as the Arena Football League. He's from Fort Lauderdale, so I mean he knows what's up down here. I mean I think Hickson, he has relationships down here in South Florida.
That's what I love.
That's the big thing I think with Hickson. Besides the fact that, obviously, like you said, he was a captain and he has experience playing the position. But I think his relationships that he has down here in South Florida, I think, is one of the big reasons that Manny felt that he was the right person to bring in.
So you want to go ahead with the rest of the bio, and because that I want to get to the high school part too.
Okay. Well, in 2018, he was a running backs coach at his alma mater, K-State. He spent 3 seasons as a running back coach at Akron. He joined the Zips after serving as the interim head coach, running backs coach, and outgoing recruiting coordinator at Garden City Community College, which is in Kansas in 2014. He coached at Emmerich Manual High School in Indy for 2 seasons, serving as a head coach his last year. And he launched his coaching career in the high school ranks of South Florida, like we mentioned. He was first an assistant coach at Coral Springs Charter School from 2003 until 2006. And then he was the running backs and special teams coach at American Heritage in 2007 until 2011. American Heritage is big when it comes to high school talent. So,
and the thing is, he's really well respected in South Florida.
Yeah.
On the coaching community, has a lot of relationships. He's one of those guys that, he was a grown man probably from the time he entered K-State in terms of the way he approached his job or his career hopes as a running back, and that's why he was two-time captain. The type of relationships that he has in South Florida, and this is where I give him the edge over Thomas Brown, is those as a recruiter, those relationships that he has in South Florida from his time at American Heritage, because he was at American Heritage for 5 years. Five, yeah, because he was from 7 to 11. So, and he had coached before at Coral Springs, so he has those relationships. Obviously, even more in Broward than he does in Dade. But you know how high school coaches move around, so he has those. Even with Dade County, even in Palm Beach, he's going to have some of these relationships.
Yeah.
And so I think as a recruiter, I think it's an upgrade there from Thomas Brown. And like I said, I do like Thomas Brown. So I wasn't, I understood why Manny, and this is something I'm glad that we touched on. Some people talked about getting rid of Dugans as wide receivers coach, Todd Hartley, who was a tremendous recruiter, who's now at Georgia. Dugans is now at FSU, and Thomas Brown.
Right.
Here's the thing that I think Manny set the tone. Accountability, because the players saw it. The offense was so bad last year. Okay, not our running game, because our running game was actually really good. I mean, we averaged over 190 yards a game, average over 5.2 yards a carry. And I mean, so we actually ran the ball pretty well.
Even
sometimes
against 8 in the box, I mean, we still ran.
Yeah. And sometimes it was a little, hit and miss and stuff. But whatever. The passing game was atrocious. Okay, we were 167 yards per game and a 51% completion rate. So the fact that Manny is basically saying the offense was so bad, everybody's gone. Okay, players see that.
Yeah,
they understand accountability. So Manny said, we're going to keep the defense intact. Okay, but offensively, no. Good example of that, we're going to talk about later on, is what he did with the recruiting department. When he fired Matt Doherty. Okay, you only got one recruit out of South Florida in the Tri-County area in 2019.
Yeah,
Manny's saying results matter. That's the accountability. So he went in there, and one of the first things he did is nobody in the offense comes back.
Not just that, but you can't blame Manny, and you can't blame a head coach, frankly, for wanting to bring in their guys. Manny's been there, and he has seen, firsthand up close the struggles on offense, and listen, guys, there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that we don't hear about. I trust Manny's judgment. He got rid of the entire offensive staff. Fine. You can make a case that maybe Brown, Dugans, like you said,
Hartley
maybe should have stayed. But at the end of the day, man, when a head coach comes in, and not just we're not talking about a head coach coming in from another school or from another state. We're talking about a head coach coming in and taking over that's been there, that's been around the program, obviously,
it for 3 years.
And he's seen it for 3 years, so he knows. Okay, if he felt that that Thomas Brown and Ron Dugans, you know, I mean, frankly, we have to talk about, you know, Jeff Thomas leaving, you know, and the beef that was there with Dugans. You could place the blame on whoever you want, but the fact is, you know, Jeff Thomas did leave, and once Jeff Thomas saw that, okay, Dugans was gone, Jeff Thomas is back here. So, I mean,
and you can say what you want. I'm not taking away blame from
I
Jeff
like
Thomas.
Dugan. I like Dugan.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying
Don't
that,
get
you
it
know.
twisted.
Yeah,
We're not saying that Jeff Thomas doesn't have any blame for what happened last week.
Exactly. Right.
But there is one thing that you have to say is you have this uber talented wide receiver who went a whole bunch of games where he wasn't getting the ball.
Exactly. Jeff Thomas is one of those guys, man, that he needs to have that ball in his hands. When he gets that ball in his hands, he's electric. I mean, whether it's returning kicks, whether it's returning punts, whether it's, you know, having him in the slot, having him outside, you know, stretching out that field. I mean, he's just.
I would like to take him away from. I don't want him returning kickoffs.
Not anymore. I don't think. No.
I want Lingard. I want Lingard and Nigel Bethel to do that.
Right, but I just felt like, remember, Braxton was the guy that was doing it, and then once Braxton, you know, left,
the punt returns.
Right. Yeah, the punt returns. But, but he's explosive on those punt returns, though, man.
No, I do want him returning punts. I want him and DJ Dallas returning punts.
You don't want him returning kickoffs, you mean?
I don't want him returning kickoffs. Right. Just the kickoffs. The kickoffs, I want Lingard and Nigel Bethel. And Thomas, Lingard? I want him returning punts. Yeah, I want Lingard. And Nigel Bethel.
I definitely want Bethel back there, but Lingard, I don't know, man. Especially coming off that injury.
Did you see him? And by the way, Lingard refereed on that 7-7 tournament that they had last week at Miami.
If you guys haven't seen pictures of that man, because he don't look like a kid, man. That boy is swole.
He's been hitting that weight room hard.
Yeah,
he looked great. He looked great moving around. So he's going to be a full go come the fall camp. Yeah. And that's awesome to see. And I think that Lingard's going to – I know how much people like Cam Harris and deservedly so, and how much people like DJ Dallas. But we're going to see Lorenzo Lingard, and he's going to be special.
Yeah.
So
back to my point that – okay, go ahead.
No, I was saying on your point. Also, when you hire Manny Enos, you want him to have his guys. Yeah. In terms of another reason why he fired the whole offensive staff.
And I think that's also one of the big reasons why Enos chose us. Mm-hmm. Because he knew that the kind of power that he was going to have coming in, you know, he wasn't going to be – I just felt like Enos was maybe going to be, you know, constricted in a sense, maybe at Bama, you know, not having the type of control that he could have down here in Miami. And I think that plays into one of the
his own guy. But here's the thing, though. Remember, Bama lost like almost everybody. All their coaches were gone from that offensive side that got jobs elsewhere.
That's true, but do you really feel that Saban's going to put that responsibility on Enos to bring in his guys?
To bring in his own guys, yeah. To bring in because Butch Berry, he had a 5-year well, he probably has a much longer relationship with.
Right.
But they worked together for 5 years.
Exactly.
Butch Berry worked under Enos when he was a head coach at Central Michigan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. The fact that Manny said, listen, man, we'll get together and we'll put together your staff, the staff that you want to work with.
Exactly.
And I think that was a big point, too, of Manny firing everybody, is knowing he was going to bring in a primetime OC and let that OC have input in terms of the rest of the offensive staff. Mm-hmm. For sure. I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's exactly what I think you were headed with that point.
Nah, you made it for me. You're good, man.
Yeah. No. But that's obviously a big important thing. Is that you want your offensive coordinator to be able to have a great relationship with all the coaches that work under the offensive coordinator.
And you also don't know how, because I'm sure that Thomas Brown felt that, he was due maybe a little bit of a promotion. So you kind of wonder how exactly would that go if, he brings in Enos, but then he keeps Brown and then he keeps Dugan.
And Brown just stays at the running back coach. Right.
So you kind of wonder the tension maybe, and I don't know.
Hartley was just such a good recruiter, and that's the thing with Hartley that
he was, man.
But listen, we ended up replacing him with a superstar recruiter in Stephen Field.
There you go.
So yeah. But let's go back to Hickson. Those relationships that Hickson has with all the high school coaches is really important, and that's why I'm excited about Hickson.
Right.
As a great hire and a guy who I think is going to help these running backs maximize their talent. So in terms of the position coaches, I'm really happy with the Hickson hire.
Yeah, I agree. You want to go ahead and move on to Stubblefield, the wide receivers coach?
Yep. You want to go ahead and give the bio?
Yeah. Before I give the bio, I was thinking about this. I think it was a couple days ago, because I don't think there's any question that on the defensive side of the ball, our defensive line is the most talented position group. On the offensive side of the ball, what would you say? Obviously, I don't think it's our offensive line, so I think we could scratch that one out. But between the wide receivers, the tight ends, the running backs, the quarterbacks, what do you think is our most talented position group? Because I was kind of scratching my head and I was thinking about that one.
Tight end.
Tight end. But that's not fair though, because you got. Yeah. Okay. Fine. All right.
that to me, I mean, listen, you have two guys that are first round draft pick material in the NFL, and Brevin Jordan, Will Meller. So,
yeah,
that's to me is, I mean, now mind you, but listen, we have three highly rated QBs too, and we have some highly rated guys in the offensive line, and we have some highly rated guys in receiver.
Yeah.
But the guys that I would say are most elite are our tight ends.
I would say yes, and I think you might change your mind next year.
With wide receivers?
With running backs.
Oh, no. Yeah, listen, running backs have to be number two.
Yeah, because next year, saying we have
as a position group, running backs are right up there with tight ends, though. Yeah, no doubt. No, you're right. You're right there.
Yeah. So I was
especially Lingard being back to 100%. And I know that people are going to scoff at this, but listen, maybe Robert Burns, the bad luck.
Don't even.
Out of his system. I know.
Don't even.
I know. But anyways, okay. but listen, I can't argue with you, fam, about that. I mean, he's been hurt. Jeez.
So best wishes to Burns, man. Hey, look.
This is soft. Yeah, and it's not anything negative on the kid, man. I'm sure we're frustrated. Trust me, he has to be a lot more frustrated.
I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for him to see the field, though.
I know.
But hey, best wishes to him, man. Hopefully he does come back, and hopefully he tears it up somewhere.
He's talented. You look at him and you're like, man, that's what a running back should look like, because he's ripped and he's huge, and he's a warrior in the weight room. But obviously I'm sure he's more frustrated than we are with all the injuries that he's had. So, and we also have Asa Martin. So yeah, you're right. That running back group is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then
next year with Chaney,
add Don Chaney.
Hey, that's why I said next year you might change your mind.
That's ridiculous.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into Stubblefield. He has a wife, Lisa, and a son. His name is Jagger. He was a wide receiver at Purdue, and he was a consensus All-American selection and a 2004 finalist for the Biletnikoff Award, believe it or not. He finished his career in 2001 until 2004 with 10 NCAA. With a then NCAA record, 316 receptions that ranked second in Big Ten history. It was 3,629 receiving yards, and he had six receiving touchdowns in 2004. 16. What did I say? 16 receiving touchdowns in 2004, which set a single season record for the Boilermakers. That's impressive, man. 16 receiving touchdowns.
Listen, just figure 300. That was a record. That means he averaged 4-year career. He averaged 80 catches a season.
That's crazy. Yeah.
79 to be exact. He averaged 79 catches a season as a receiver. So this guy was a prime time receiver. So
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry, dude.
After he graduated from Purdue in 2005, he had stints with the Panthers and the Rams in the NFL, as well as the, excuse me, as well as the CFL's Hamilton Tiger Cats. I have no idea who they are, but prior to Miami, he coached at Air Force Academy. In 2016, he coached wide receivers for the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League. I have no idea who they are either.
I watch some CFL. It's a fun game. It just I don't like that whole 3 downs instead of 4. But go ahead.
They have 3 downs in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah. There's no fourth down.
I've never watched one Canadian football game in my life.
It's also a bigger field. It's also
the bigger field. I didn't know. But
there's no fourth down. You get 3 downs. So on third down, if you didn't make a first and you got you have to either punt or kick a field goal or go for it. But yeah, go ahead.
So prior to the Toronto Argonauts, he had coaching stops at let's see here, Central Washington in 2007, in 2008 at Eastern Michigan, at Illinois State from 2009 until 2010, Central Michigan 2011, New Mexico.
Again, relationship with Enos.
That's good point. At New Mexico in 2012. This is the thing I just don't understand. Every single year he moved on, but I don't know. In New Mexico, like I said, 2012, Wake Forest 2013, Utah 2014 until 2015. And currently he's obviously our wide receivers coach. So
yeah. Now, and I'll be fair because the jury is still out, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. This is probably the hire that I'm least excited about. I have concerns the fact that he moves so much, where he was just 1 year, and yeah, you move up the ranks to better programs and the like.
I mean that is a good point, and I think that's one that we do have to make because in 2007 it was Central Washington, then Eastern Michigan, then Illinois State, then Central Michigan, then New Mexico, then Wake Forest, then Utah. So, I mean, from Central Michigan to where you leave off, at Utah, and then obviously, I think, it's concerning that it was only 1 year stops, but I think the fact that he did kind of move up to better programs,
right? And all coaches, do that to an extent until they start, getting to positions that are their dream positions, and then they want to stay there longer. So I get that. I'm not going to necessarily hold that against him.
Right.
My concern is recruiting. He had an opportunity, and I'm not, like I said, just like I'm not blaming Manny for any decommits. I'm not going to blame Stubblefield for the Brian Robinson commit.
Right.
But he did. I mean, he got hired right in January. Okay, Stubblefield. Mm-hmm. So he had several months to build up their relationship with Robinson.
Right.
Okay. Obviously, it wasn't enough to overcome the relationship that Robinson had with Duggins.
Yeah.
So, okay, take that for what it's worth. All right. We've been recruiting a lot of these receivers. Okay. Yes, we did get Javier Restrepo. Marcus Fleming we had before Stubblefield took over. Okay. We've been linked with Mookie Cooper, Rome Odunisi from Bishop Gorman.
Right.
Jalen Hyatt. Now with Michael Redding. Several other receivers that we've looked at. How many commitments have we had since Stubblefield's been there? Other than Restrepo. And don't know with Restrepo, they were recruiting him as an athlete, either a slot receiver, safety, wherever. Okay.
Other than that. But with that being said, I don't think you can blame the Robinson decommit on Stubblefield.
No, it's not that I'm blaming him now. It's not that I'm blaming him. But Eric, okay, I'll give you an example. Eric Hickson has really gone out of his way and established a great relationship with Shady Jr. And Hickson got Jalen Knighton to visit a bunch of times.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, man. That's a good point.
Starting to beat on Manny Diaz's door for us to maybe take his commitment.
That's a good point.
That's my point. Is
But like you said, the jury's out. The
no,
jury's still out.
right,
Yeah.
right, and by all, and I want to throw this out as a qualifier. By all, from different places,
You've heard
by
good things.
all opinions, he's a very good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Stubblefield's a good person. He was obviously a very diligent and mature player, and able to have that type of 316 catches in his college football career is ridiculous.
No,
Okay?
that's cool. That's cool and all, and yeah, that is ridiculous. But I think to your point, when it comes to recruiting, we gotta see that you can bring in some of these guys that we're after.
That's my only, and I've seen things already. Mookie Cooper, one time talked really big things about Miami. That's died down somewhat. Okay.
You don't
Jalen Hyatt.
You don't think he's trying hard enough to get these guys? Is that what you're saying?
No. I think he's trying because he's visited these guys.
Right.
So he's gone there. It's not like he's not trying to establish contact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the jury's out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thrilled with the hire.
Okay.
Okay, I'll ask you a question. Okay, and I understand why the offensive staff, we already covered that, why they were fired.
Mm-hmm.
Right now.
Give me Dugans.
There you go.
I knew what you were going to ask before you said it. No, 100%.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. But when it comes to recruiting, Dugans is that dude, though.
I mean, he definitely has been. And, I mean, we got Mark Pope, who was a 5-star on some of the locations. Look at Brian Hightower. He's gotten the talent.
Proof is in the
Dugans got the talent. Now, what happened between him and Jeff Thomas, okay, I get you. I mean, you're going to blame.
If it was something crazy, okay, look, and this is why when I reflect on that whole issue with Jeff Thomas and Dugans, okay, if it was an issue that was truly only Jeff Thomas and was a real issue that Dugans felt and Rick felt like, yo, we have to get rid of this guy, I don't think Manny extends his hand to bring him back.
There you go. That's true. I got a hand of that. You're right, because Manny was there. So if he thought it was 100, now mind you could say he still thought it was Jeff Thomas's fault, and he obviously vetted Thomas, and that's why Thomas didn't come back right away.
But if Thomas
wanted to talk to him and tell him, hey, I'll give you a clean slate. We want you back, but you need to do the right thing.
Hey man, but when you dismiss somebody from a team, it's we're talking like it's serious, okay? Yeah. So if it was something that serious and Jeff Thomas had all the blame, I don't.
And for those of you that don't know, the reports are, and these are obviously unconfirmed rumors, were that Thomas cussed him out, cussed Dugans out on the field. And I think he stormed off and walked off the field. Yeah. And that there had been problems before with Jeff Thomas attending wide receiver meetings, and Dugans and him, obviously had some go-arounds with that. Now, all these things are, we call that in Spanish, radio bemba, which is, how would you translate that?
How would you translate that? That's like, that...
Basically, people running their mouth.
It's like word on the street, but in a less. I have no idea.
In a little bit more of a derogatory way, word on the street type of thing.
I guess so. Yeah.
Right. So those are all unconfirmed rumors, but where there's smoke, a lot of times there's fire, and that apparently. Now you can say two things. You can say, "Hey, the player has to respect the coaches." I'm 100% with you. Mm-hmm. I'm not taking away Jeff Thomas's blame because he's here.
No. Hey, he had blame. I'm not saying yo, it was 100% Dugan's fault, but I'm also not saying that it was 100% Jeff Thomas's fault.
Correct. That's perfectly said. There you go. That's perfectly said. But if I'm looking at if all things are equal and Coach Enos is okay with either one, and you ask me, I'd rather have Ron Dugans than I would Taylor Stubblefield.
We'll see. We'll see, big dog, because
No. The jury's out.
it's not fair yet because we saw who Dugan's brought in and who
Correct.
so obviously we feel some type of way that we know that Dugan's could get the job done.
Right.
We still don't know yet whether Stubblefield can. So
Right.
we'll see.
And listen, you can make a case. Mark Pope didn't develop under Dugans. That first year is the only year he was with him. You can make a case that we expected to see Mark Pope a lot more than one catch. Now, mind you, you could blame Rick for that too, and he got
That's
majority.
and that's my thing. I'm not willing.
Correct.
I'm not willing to put any blame
On Dugans for that.
on
Right.
not just Dugan's, dude, but the quarterback's not getting any better. From the previous coaching staff, the biggest blame that I can put on somebody that got fired is our strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah. And a close second is the offensive line coach.
And exactly, and the offensive line coach.
Because Gus Felder not being there for player workouts and not showing up on time and guys not developing in the strength and conditioning program.
Right.
There's no excuse for that.
So to my
And
point,
Stacey Searles, we have a very talented offensive line, and we saw very little development.
at least he wasn't caught making a video of doing lines on his table, the way that
Like the Miami Dolphins.
the Miami Dolphins.
That's true.
But
that had to be the most famous firing of all time, or the best firing of all time. Could you imagine when they fired him?
it was either like this.
Yeah. You're doing lines, and wasn't it with a stripper?
Yeah, it was like sending a video of it.
Inside the facility.
I'm about to go coach these guys up. I gotta throw a couple lines.
And you're filming it.
Yeah, it's bad, man. That's bad.
That had to be that would have been one of those I was gonna relay a time that I had to fire somebody, but I don't want to do that because I don't want to throw
No.
street. But yeah, it was somebody like one of those conversations like, you do know you're fired, right? You do know there's nothing for us to discuss here. Yeah. And I had to do that way, but
back to let's get back on track here. Back to the point I was making. I can't put player development blame on the wide receivers because I just feel like our quarterback situation and the whole issue with Rick was such in shambles that I don't think it's fair to necessarily say, oh, this receiver didn't progress under Dugans, or Harris didn't see the field as much as he should have because of Brown. Like I just feel like a lot of that blame does indeed fall on Rick. I don't think that necessarily falls on any of our positions.
I agree. But if I'm in Dan Enos' spot and I have two choices right now, I would pick Ron Dugans over Taylor Stubblefield.
I agree. But we'll see.
But you're right. The jury's out on Stubblefield, and I'm not making a blanket declaration on him at all.
Yeah.
But I am worried about his recruiting prowess, and I'll leave it at that. I do think he's a great technician as a wide receiver and a good teacher in technique.
Yeah.
So, and that's at the end of the day, that's important. And one of the things about Stubblefield is that he preaches that blocking downfield, and that's going to help our running backs break those long runs because a lot of people don't realize
our wide receivers were blocking downfield.
Yeah, but I think Stubblefield, I think that's one of the things he's
puts
really good on
emphasis on. You mean? Yeah.
Yes,
I got you.
Yes, because at K-State, remember that's what they did a lot.
Right. Yeah.
So I would say. I give him credit for being a good technician and a good teacher. One of the things the receivers talked about is that Stubblefield has the receivers catching 150 balls a day. So, listen, you love that because we've had issues with drop passes,
especially, and you mentioned him, Pope, and Pope wasn't dropping passes. I mean,
I saw an article.
I heard him like when practice first got going. I know receivers were dropping passes a little bit, but I mean, we saw them in the scrimmages and in the spring game. I mean, these guys were securing the ball, and if their hands were on it and it was a good pass, they were coming down with the ball. And Pope especially, we didn't really see those issues of drop passes with Pope, at least when it came to actual game time,
Right.
like scrimmages
No,
and.
and I saw an article on D. Wiggins. I think I read it. It was on 247. I read it
Did
yesterday.
you
Yesterday, the day
see?
before.
Did you see the picture of them at the Miami-Dade at the shelter, the dog shelter?
Yeah, with Wiggins.
Wiggins was out there. Blaze was out there.
Yeah,
Hey,
Wiggins has
you saw him put on some muscle, right? I know you guys. I know you saw the.
Wiggins is like 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it
when
looks
when
like.
Wiggins signed with us, he was 6'3", 170, and he's close to 200. Right? I think he said he wants to play at 200,
Yeah.
and I think he's at 194, 195. I think he's at 194.
Nothing less than that because you saw
Yeah,
him. You
he's
guys, look up these pictures, man. They're on Twitter. It was at the Miami-Dade dog shelter. Al Blaze is
right.
freaking swole out of his mind.
Yeah.
But
Blaze. I was actually going to DM him. You mentioned that just to give him some positive thoughts
and
and
you
stuff
saw
like
him
that.
training. You saw him hitting the bag a few months
Man, but
back.
he's I was actually going to tell him he looked like Swoley McSwollerson. He
Yeah,
was
man.
Blades has been putting in the work,
But
and that's another thing. Blades has been attending wide receiver meetings, which
right.
was also in an article in 247, which shows what type of dedication he has. That he wanted to attend wide receiver meetings to see how the wide receivers coached up their players.
Yeah.
The wide receivers coached up their players, so that way he can use that when he plays defensive back when he's covering them.
That's a good point. That's a good.
And by all
strategy to
accounts, Taylor Stubblefield is very good as a technician.
Yeah.
So,
All
but
right.
we'll leave it at that. And I'll, like I said, the jury is out
Yeah.
on him as a recruiter.
So let's go ahead and move on, man, because we're running on an hour. So let's go ahead
Yeah.
and finish up with the remaining coaches that we have left.
Do you want to go to the tight ends coach?
Let's go.
Let's go to tight ends coach Stephen Field. You want to go ahead and give the bio?
I gotta find it here, man.
Okay, I'll give it here real quick.
Go ahead.
Of course, he was hired in 2019, accepting a position of tight ends coach. Stephen Field is a native of West Palm Beach, has a daughter, Leah Sky Field. Field was a two-time All-State selection at Palm Beach Lakes High, helping them to the only undefeated season in school history. He played tight end for 2 seasons at Tuskegee University, and he earned his bachelor's in business from the University of Phoenix and a master's degree in liberal studies from University of Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Field spent last season as director of recruiting at Oregon. He helped the Ducks land the top-ranked class in school history. Oregon's 2019 class was ranked first in the Pac-12 and ninth nationally by 247. In 2017, he served as Louisville's director of high school relations and NFL liaison, helping the Cardinals sign 19 student athletes. And out of that class had 11 four-star recruits, which was the greatest class in Louisville history. I had no idea why they won 2 games. But anyways, he served 1 season as a tight ends coach and recruiting coordinator at Florida A&M. And he was a highly decorated football coach and offensive coordinator at North Marion Senior High School in 2014 and 15. And he also served as head coach and offensive coordinator at Miami Northwestern from 2012 to 2014. And he restored Miami Northwestern to their perennial prep powerhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they had some down years right before he took over. So, he coached at Miami Northwestern. He also coached running backs at Hampton University from 2009 to 2011. And he coached at previously on the defensive side of the ball, where he worked with Kenny Phillips, Tavares Gooden, Sean Spence, Darryl Sharpton, Brandon Harris, and Alan Bailey. He coached at from 2007 to 2008. And from 05 to 06, he was the run game coordinator, running backs coach, and academic coach at Glade Central High School in Belle Glade. And then he also spent a season at Deerfield Beach High School.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a really good hire. Field is known as a tremendous recruiter. Obviously, we have Dominic Mammarelli in this class, and we're going after Darnell Washington. I think we're going after Theo Johnson, the tight end from Canada also.
If he could land Darnell, man.
Wow.
Mammarelli lost a star, actually, I believe.
Yeah, that's
a 4-star. Now he's down to a 3-star.
Yeah, if he committed to Alabama, they would make a new category, give him a 6-star.
5-star fruit.
That's ridiculous. I don't even care about the stars, man. I'm not. You're gonna get me fired up, and I'm gonna go off on a rant.
Yeah, no.
But Fields is known as an ace recruiter.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's not just recruiting tight ends. They're using Fields a lot. I keep saying Fields like there's an S at the end. There's no S. Field. They're using him a lot to go to different places. So he's been part of like recruiting wide receivers and offensive linemen or whatever. It doesn't matter. They're using Field a lot because he is a top-notch recruiter. And you're looking at a guy now has relationships in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, what did Manny say? You start off winning national championships by winning the state of Miami.
Yes, sir.
You're seeing him do it with Eric Hickson, with Stephen Field, guys that have – Field was a very successful head coach at Northwestern High School in Miami, coach at Deerfield Beach, coach at Glaze Central, who also has a great program. Deerfield Beach has a great program.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a guy who has relationships in that Tri-County area. Really, really happy with him. I think the tight ends. I didn't mention about. I didn't know if I mentioned this about Stubblefield. One thing I wanted to throw out there: he's having these receivers. I think I did say catch 150 balls a day.
Yeah, you did say.
So he tells them 150 balls a day.
Yeah.
Fields has also done a really good job with the existing tight ends. I think you've seen the improvement in Michael Irvin Jr.
Yes, great point. Him especially. We know what Brevin and Mallory are going to bring to the table, but Michael Irvin, you feel, has taken a jump.
A huge leap.
Yeah,
a
significant jump.
So, and obviously we'll get into David Feely, who deserves part of that credit because Irvin Jr. looks like a completely different dude in terms of his physique. But Field, I love Field as a recruiter, like I said, and he's a good tight ends coach who has a good knowledge of offensive football as a whole, and even coaching a little bit on the defense, I think actually improves that.
Yeah.
So, I'm really, really happy with Field as a hire. I was really excited when we got him, and his knowledge of recruiting, and you saw what he did at Oregon, is tremendous.
Yeah,
because he was part of that great recruiting class for Oregon. So
I think you nailed it on the head, man. I don't think I could add anything else to that. To me, with Field, it comes down to relationships, like you said. I mean, he has a lot of relationships, in all three counties, in West Palm and Broward and obviously Dade, and the fact that
you guys know we win the Tri-County area. We win national championships.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not taking anything away. We talk about the state of Miami. So it's not just those three counties. Obviously, Jalen Rivers is from Oakleaf High School in Orange Park. So it's, you still have to win guys outside of that Tri-County area.
Yeah.
But, you win that South Florida, you win the state of Miami in terms of recruiting, like Howard Schnellenberger called it, the state of Miami. You win there, you win national championships, period. End of story.
Yeah.
And Field is a great guy to win there.
I agree.
So
I got nothing to add to that, man.
On the offensive side, I think we're done.
Yeah.
So we're going to go over to the – we actually have a couple of new defensive guys too to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Do you want to start it off with Blake Baker?
Mainly we got Blake Baker, baby.
He is a new defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and the inside linebackers coach as well.
Right, and Manny helps out with the linebackers too, though.
Yeah,
but obviously, go ahead and give Blake Baker's bio. This is a guy. This is a dude. So go ahead.
What do you mean?
Blake Baker. I'm saying I am really happy with his hire.
Oh, I got you.
I am really, really happy with his hire. But and he's really showing it too. But go ahead.
He's from Houston, and he was a 4-year letterman and 3-year starter at Tulane from 2000 until 2004. He helped lead the Green Wave to win a 2002 Hawaii Bowl. He earned his bachelor's from Tulane in 2008. He is married to the former Rosalind Jones of Mandeville, and the couple has a daughter Anderson, and a son, Byron. He spent the previous 4 seasons as the D coordinator at Louisiana Tech. Under his direction, he replaced Manny Diaz as the D coordinator at Louisiana Tech when Diaz accepted the same position at Mississippi State for the 2015 season. He worked under Diaz as safeties coach at Louisiana Tech in 2014 and also was a 2-year graduate assistant in 2011 and 2012 under him during Diaz's time as defensive coordinator at Texas. He went to Arkansas State after spending 2010 through 2012 as a defensive graduate assistant coach at Texas. Prior to joining Texas, he spent the 2009 season as a wide receivers coach at Clear Springs High School in Houston before taking over duties as linebackers coach the following spring.
Yeah, that's here's the thing. When we brought in Baker, I was like, oh, awesome hire. He's Manny's protege. He worked under Manny quite a bit. Louisiana, he did a fantastic job at Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech was leading their conference in tackles for loss. They were really highly ranked. And I said to myself, okay, he's Manny's protege. And being Manny's protege, who's worked for him, he's going to just keep the defense going the way it is, right? After getting him, I really like him. I really like him. I think he's an excellent recruiter. I think the relationships that he established in Louisiana, and we talked about the best states, I put Louisiana right behind Ohio in terms of getting football talent. Great players out of Louisiana. So obviously Ed Reed, one of our legends, is from there. I don't know if we get Darren Branch's commit from Amite or Amity, Louisiana, without Blake Baker.
Yeah. He's
really impressed me and tremendously energetic. I think you've seen it already with Shaq and Pinckney, and have loved this guy. And if you watch tape, because I watched film of Louisiana Tech, and yeah, I do see a lot of similarities. Obviously, this guy worked under Manny, so I see the similarities. Blaker adds a wrinkle or two. Blaker adds a wrinkle or two, but he's going to coach very similarly to Manny, and obviously, we love the way our defense plays.
But you get this feeling that, if you guys want to see how excited the players are with the coach, like you said, you see it in our linebackers. They're not giving the generic responses that you see players give sometimes. Like that, you see the light in their eyes. They're really excited about Baker. And what I like about Baker, and like you said, adding some wrinkles to the defense, he's not just like a filler, because we understand that Manny's gonna have a big impact on the defense, but Manny didn't bring in somebody just to be like a fill guy. Here, you're defensive coordinator, but this is my defense.
Perfectly. Beautifully said. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's what I like.
Look at what happened last year. Last year, Thomas Brown was co-offensive coordinator. In name only.
Oh, 100%.
Because that was Mark Richt's offense.
Yeah.
When we first hired Blake Baker as defensive coordinator to co-defensive coordinator, because the famed Banda but we know Baker's the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But we hired him. I thought the same thing you're just saying now. I thought, okay, he hired his protege, but Manny's still going to be running the defense. Yeah. I don't think that anymore.
I don't think that anymore.
I think Manny's the head coach.
Yeah, we both.
Blake Baker's a D coordinator.
We're both on point. We have the same assessment when it comes to that, for sure. Because I thought the same thing when Baker first came in. Like we said it when we first hired Manny, we were like, okay, we don't have to worry about the defensive side of the football. We know Manny's going to handle that, so he's going to be head coach / defensive coordinator. Maybe he brings somebody in just to ease some
signals, to call plays,
ease some of his responsibilities. Maybe when he's tied up being a head coach or whatnot. But that's going to be Manny's defense. And while that still may be the case, like Manny's obviously going to have a lot of input into the defense being the head coach. But so when we first got Baker, like you said, I thought he was going to be one of these guys. But then when I started reading his history and and I just feel a different way about it. And I think you said it perfectly that he's adding certain wrinkles, and then hearing the players respond, to that change, and comparing Baker to Manny. Yeah, they have little similarities, but that shows that Baker. This is gonna be Blake Baker's defense still at the end of the day. Now,
There you go.
if maybe it doesn't start to perform the way we've grown to get used to Manny Diaz's defense perform. Manny Diaz is going to throw his nuggets in there. Hey, maybe you should do this. Maybe you should do that. Fine. He's going to have his say on the defensive side of the football for sure. I mean, you're the head coach. You should be able to have your say on whatever side.
On everything, really.
Exactly. But
Right.
but the fact that I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I'm with you when it comes to Baker. I'm really excited about this hire. I don't think he's just a fill-in guy that just has the title of defensive coordinator for sure.
It's funny, we haven't, for you guys, we haven't talked about, you and I haven't talked about Baker.
We really
on
haven't.
our own.
Yeah.
No. And we both have the same exact opinion that when we first got him, we went, okay, it's Manny's protege. He's going to be Manny, Manny's 2.0, Manny's guy.
Yeah.
And that's why I said he's a guy, he's a dude,
Yeah.
is all of a sudden I started seeing that's not the case.
Right.
This is a guy who's coming in to be the defensive coordinator.
Exactly.
And to do things his way and to call signals, which Manny already said. Blake Baker's the one who's going to be calling all the defensive signals. And Baker's going to be putting in his wrinkles. But you are going to see Louisiana Tech playing defense similarly to us. Obviously without our talent, but it's the same type of defense. But it does have his wrinkles, and he works hard on the recruiting trail.
Right.
Which I really like seeing. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing that my in these 5 months now since Blake Baker became the defensive coordinator, my opinion has changed to just like yours. Mm-hmm. Is this is a guy who's really going to be running the defense.
Yeah.
And like you said, I'm sure he's there's things that they're going to discuss. With Manny's going to have a part in the game plan. He's a head coach. He should.
Absolutely.
But this is Blake Baker's defense, and make no doubt about it. And I'm really happy, and I could tell from the players that they really respond to him, and I think he is really good on the recruiting trail.
Yeah.
So I am really, really happy with this hire, and I think we got ourselves a young, up-and-coming defensive coordinator. So
definitely, 100%. So you want to go ahead and move on to Stroud?
Let's go to Stroud. Now, this one, obviously, as you guys know, Jess Simpson, who coached our defensive line after we got him from the NFL, went back to the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons. So we need a new D-line coach. Manny was ready for this because he had brought in Todd Stroud into being a coach anyways with the program. And then as soon as Jess Simpson left, Todd Stroud became the defensive line coach. Mm-hmm. And by the way, he's also defensive line coach, and he's also the associate head coach.
Right, exactly.
Want to go ahead and give Todd Stroud's bio?
Yeah.
Long history here.
Long history here. He was hired in March, obviously of this year. He played nose guard for the Seminoles in 19.
He was hired before, but he became the defensive line coach on March 5th because that's when Jess Simpson left. Right.
Exactly.
Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. He played nose guard for the Seminoles from 1983 until 1985, and he was a team captain his senior season. I know, guys. Yes, he was a Seminole, but it is what it is. He was a team captain his senior season, like I said. He earned his bachelor's in physical education from Florida State and a master's degree in athletics administration from UAB. He has a wife, Mary Ann, and they have 4 children. He most recently served as associate head coach and defensive coordinator at Akron, where he spent the past 7 seasons, including being recruiting coordinator in 2007, which is big. I think that's also the fact that he was recruiting coordinator in 2017. 2017 is when he was the recruiting coordinator. Right. Throughout his career, he's tutored numerous NFL draft picks and developed nationwide recruiting ties. He coached 2 seasons at Colorado State. He coached tight ends and fullbacks in 2010, and in addition to serving as recruiting coordinator. In 2011, he shifted to defensive line coach. From 2007 and 2009, he was the head strength and conditioning coach at his alma mater, obviously Florida State. This is a long bio, guys. that followed an 8-year run at NC State. First, he was the director of strength and conditioning from 1999 until 2004. and then as associate head coach / defensive line from 2004 and 2006, which is his current title with the U. During the 2006 NFL Draft, 3 of his North Carolina State defensive linemen were first-round selections, including top overall pick. You guys should know who it is, Mario Williams, which was drafted by the Texans. In 2004, he helped the Wolfpack allow just 221 yards per game. Total per game, and 102.4 rushing yards per game, both of which ranked second in school history. Impressive. In 2005, Williams set single-season school records in both sacks with 14.5 and tackles for loss, 27.5.
Jesus. No wonder he was a top pick in the draft.
Yeah. In the first round of the 2006 NFL Draft, obviously Williams was selected, as was Manny Lawson from who went to the San Francisco 49ers, and John McCargo, who was drafted by the Buffalo Bills. He was the head strength and conditioning coach at Memphis in 1997 to 1999, prior to his 3-year coaching stint at West Alabama. He was the head coach at West Alabama from 1994 until 1996. And in 1993, as the head strength and conditioning coach at Auburn, he helped the Tigers to an 11-0 regular season, which earned them the number 4 ranking in the AP poll. Stroud was a defensive line and strength and conditioning coach at Samford from 1987 to 1993. I mean, this guy, you guys should be impressed by his long resume. Bio and his long resume here, because I'm impressed, just reading it off to you guys.
Okay.
He got his start in coaching in 1986 as a defensive line coach at UCF, and then a weight room assistant at FSU. So
I mean, this is a guy who's basically been in college football for almost 40 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, wow. I mean, just an impressive resume. Listen, Manny's been preparing to be a head coach for quite a long time, because I'm sorry, you don't make that many moves that quickly unless you've been. Obviously, he had he was going to get the job at Temple when the opening, when he came back to Miami. But Manny has had this in his back pocket for quite a while. Wow. That Manny was prepared to be a head coach, and man, he's made some fantastic hires. Yeah. Like I said, bringing in Stroud, he brought in Stroud before Jess Simpson left.
Yeah.
So maybe he was thinking that Simpson was going to leave, so he wanted to get a hold of Stroud. And by all accounts, Stroud's doing a really good job with the defensive line. And man, does he have some talent to work with Greg Rousseau and Jonathan Garvin and all these guys. He has some talent to work with. He's had some experience. Obviously, he's had experience doing everything. The fact that he has a lot of experience at strength and conditioning, I like that. I like that on the defensive line a lot. Because he's the guy I guarantee who's going to work really close with David Feely.
Exactly.
To make sure our D linemen are at their optimum weight. And you already seen stuff with Scott Patchen, where he weighs the same but has a lower body fat percentage.
Yeah.
And he looks fantastic. Patchen looks fantastic.
And that's a perfect. I'm glad you said that, Big Dog, because reading off his bio, obviously he has that experience at strength and conditioning. I think, and this goes for all of the coaches across the board when it comes to position groups, whether it's the wide receivers coach, whether it's a running backs coach, the fact that there's communication between those coaches and the strength and conditioning coach, I think is huge. Like, the fact that a coach should be able to go to the strength and conditioning coach, hey man, this guy, he's not moving the same. I think if we boom, 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 like, I think that communication is big. Now, that's important, but the fact that Stroud was a strength and conditioning coach, I think that communication goes to another level. And Feely and Stroud could feed off of each other when it comes to, talking about the strength and conditioning of the defensive line. I think that camaraderie, I don't think we need to worry about our players being in shape and being where they need to be when it comes to the defensive line, because of Stroud having that experience, as strength and conditioning coaches in the past, and I think we're going to get to Feely next. I mean, if you're not already in love with David Feely and what he's done with our players in such a short period of time, then I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I just wanted to hammer that point down about Stroud's experience as a strength and conditioning coach, because I think that goes a big way, and that makes
Absolutely.
when it comes to our defensive line, I think that goes a long way.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at we have the the most awesome piece of clay in the world that you could find in Gregory Rousseau.
Yeah.
And when you have guys, that hey, he's already gained a lot of good weight. I think he's at 250, 255. And when you have, like you said, guys, coaching staff working together,
Mm-hmm.
is fantastic. And I do like the fact that Stroud has such great experience. I mean, like you said, this is a guy who had 3 defensive linemen. He's coaching defensive linemen and had 3 of them drafted in the first round,
Mm-hmm.
from the same team.
Yeah, same team.
I think he knows how to coach defensive linemen.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with this. As a recruiter, I don't really have a feel for him yet. I know people, which I don't understand, is people talk about bags being given, bags of money, and about Donnell Harris, but yet they want to blame Todd Stroud for losing Donnell Harris.
Right. That's funny.
I don't get that. I don't get that. But I don't have a good feel yet for his ability as a recruiter. But as a technician, I really like him as a hire. And we'll see how he does recruiting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But by the same token, we did get Jared Harrison Hunt late in the late signing period, the signing period in February.
Yeah, we did.
And I know Todd Stroud wasn't the defensive line coach, but I don't know. He had some contact with these guys too. So we'll see. We'll see what he does as a recruiter. But I think as a technician, coach, on the defensive line, I think his bona fides are unarguable. You can't, that type of experience. And when you have 3 guys drafted from your defensive line in the first round in the NFL draft, I think that's your trump card. That's like when if you ask Tom Brady, are you the greatest quarterback of all time, and he shows you 6 Super Bowl rings, that's sort of the end of the argument.
Yeah.
If a defensive line coach has 3 first-round draft picks in one draft, that's the end of the argument.
Yeah, I think so too.
But we'll see how he does as a recruiter. That's the one that's up in the air.
Yeah. So on to David Feely. I feel like we've for some reason I feel like we've talked about him quite a bit, even though we haven't really gotten to him in depth. But
I know.
just because we're so excited about David Feely. But I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a rundown. He was hired on January 5th as director of strength and conditioning coach, obviously for the U. He's married to he's married to the former Anne Marie DeGilio, I think her name is. I'm sorry, Mr. Feely.
DeGilio, I think.
DeGilio, okay. They have a daughter, Laura Marie, and a son, John Francis. He arrived at UM after spending the past 2 seasons at Temple. Overall, 2019 will mark Feely's 14th season in college football.
Before you go on to the rest of the bio, I wanted to mention this. A lot of this information we got from the Hurricanes, their bios on the team site. Reason I want to mention this, this is really important. Feely's former job was at Temple. Mm-hmm. How he gets to Miami is that when Manny Diaz, his few days that he took over at Temple, he had heard and was so impressed with David Feely that's one of the first hires he made.
Yeah, for sure.
So that gives you an idea what type of reputation David Feely has and what type of an impact and impression he made on Manny Diaz, that I think Manny might have known of him, but the first contact that they had was just those few days at Temple. Yeah. And Manny was so impressed that was one of the first hires he made. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
And Manny knew that Felder had to go.
Yeah,
that was one of the things that he was sure of. So he wanted to make sure to hammer down somebody in the weight room, fairly quick, to already get started working on on the guys that Manny felt that Gus Felder didn't do. But so yeah, he helped the Owls compile a 15-11 record and advance to 2 bowls in 2 seasons in Philly. Prior to his stint at Temple, he served as the assistant strength and conditioning coach at the University of South Carolina for one season, where the Gamecocks earned a bid to the Birmingham Bowl. Before arriving at South Carolina, he worked as the director of football strength and conditioning at Ball State from 2011 until 2015. From 08 until 2010, he was assistant strength and conditioning coach at FIU. In 2010, he helped guide the Panthers to a 7-6 record and win in the Little Caesars Pizza Bowl, the first bowl win in program history. He also assisted with women's tennis, softball, and baseball during his 3 years at FIU. He began his professional career as an intern at Rutgers and South Florida before becoming the strength and conditioning graduate assistant for football, women's track, softball, and baseball at UNLV from 2006 until 2007. He's a native of New Jersey, Brick, New Jersey. He's a 2004 graduate at Plymouth State University, where he was a member of the football team for 4 years, serving as team captain during his senior season. And that basically wraps it up for
Feely. You mentioned it. If you want to know what type of job David Feely has done in his short time as strength and conditioning coach, we've mentioned David Feely how many times this is our 10th podcast. And in our 10th podcast, we've already mentioned David Feely probably 20 times.
Yeah, and look what he's done just with Zion Nelson. Zion Nelson came in weighing 241 pounds, and before we even went into the summer, okay, I'm not talking about right now. Before we went into the summer, Zion Nelson was already up at 270. Yeah. So, I mean,
and from what I understand, his plan is to be at 285 come August 24th against Florida.
Yeah,
Zion plans to be at 285 and gain the weight the right way.
Yeah, and we've seen it. We touched on Wiggins. We've touched on Al Blades. You know, you kind of
DJ Dallas. DJ was at
DJ's
220.
Another one.
He looks like he's at 215 now.
Look at Zoe. Look at Lorenzo Lingard. I mean, you're just seeing a lot of our players just looking like they're in top tier shape, and this is only been what 5 months, 6 months.
Right.
So
Cam Harris, he looks like an NFL back now.
Yeah,
and it's not that he had a ton of bad weight last year, but he doesn't look like he looks now.
Exactly.
Now he looks like an NFL running back.
And the fact, going back to your point, the fact that Manny, that we took him away from Temple, you know, he set quite the impression on Manny. And you know, during spring,
he was at every football practice during spring.
Right.
Because he wants to see how these guys are doing their drills. He wants to see, okay, this guy, I'm going to work on this.
Yeah.
I mean, and he comes up with different drills every single day and different motivational things for the players. And the whole thing about the idea of breaking up the players into these teams that compete against each other to work out.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how much pull he had, but you know, we saw with the Big Show coming in the weight room. You know, he was in the middle of it, so he's looking for ways to motivate these guys. But like you said, he was at all of the practices, and if you guys seen his interviews after the practices, they're at the practices. So, you know, you just can't help but love the guy, the way he talks, the way his expectations for these guys. Like, you just get a feeling, and look up his interviews. Like I said, you just get a feeling that he knows what he's doing, and he knows like where these guys have to be. And you know, we're seeing the results already in such a short period of time. I said it, you know, before, and I'll say it again. I'm so impressed with the body transformations like we've seen, like, and they're literal body transformations in 6 months. Okay, last year, you know, DJ had a little bit of a gut. You know, Jaren had a little bit of a gut. You're not seeing this anymore, like from any player. One big point that I didn't mention.
Nesta's looking much better.
You took the words out of my mouth.
I'm sorry. I forgot what you were going to talk about.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. In one of the first pictures that they did like a little run around the Hard Rock, and they're all out in the front of the Hard Rock, and you see Nesta, and then Nesta wasn't looking very flattering. And then, you know, that first scrimmage came around, Trask Powell, And obviously, Big Dog lives in Ohio, so he couldn't attend it. But I was there, and one of the first things I tested Big Dog. I don't know if you remember. I'm like, "Hey, Nesta looks like he's losing some of that fat and he's gaining good weight." And I believe I'm not sure if he was at the Miami-Dade the dog shelter, but I saw oh no, he was at the game that the guys were refereeing, that the kids were
Oh
refereeing.
yeah.
He was there.
The 7-on-7.
The 7-on-7. He was there as well, and you could see that he's already looking better. And he was. I mean, that picture that I'm talking about was not flattering at all. Like, you're like,
And that was
dude,
just a few months ago.
and that was just a few months ago. So you're seeing the transformation in the bodies of the players. I cannot be happier with David Feely.
I'll give you an anecdote. This is an anecdote that I heard, and this tells you all you need to know about David Feely. Ed Reed was talking to the team, and he was basically telling the team how many extra gassers they would do on their own, how hard they would work out on their own. That what Manny talked about, that it being player accountability, that's what the U is based on, is current players and even former alumni hold you to a standard to work harder than everybody else. And Ed Reed was talking about the gassers, how they would run the sprints. And Will Mallory was, when they asked him about Ed Reed and about the comments that Ed Reed said, he said he was sitting at a table when Ed Reed was talking with David Feely. Mm-hmm. And this is funny the way Mallory said this, because I don't think he even realized that what he was saying exactly. But he said that as soon as Reed said that about the gassers, the first thing Mallory looked at was David Feely. He looked over to look at Feely, and he said Feely had the biggest smile on his face, like going, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do some gassers."
Yeah.
And the type of, I think, what was the darn, I forgot the exact. We talked about that when it happened, that Feely's gonna have these guys running 30, 110s, is it?
Yes, I believe it was. Yes, I believe so.
And he has different times that they have to run it in. For different players, obviously, defensive linemen, you're going to hold them to a different standard than wide receivers. Right. But the reason I mentioned this is the anecdote is the Mallory said that as soon as Ed Reed said that, the first thing he did was look at David Feely.
Yeah.
And then he said Feely had this huge smile on his face, like going, "Oh yeah, we're going to do some of that."
Yeah.
And Mallory said as soon as he saw that, he saw the smile, he knew they were in for. He said he knew they were in for it this summer. 100%. And but everybody's working hard, and I think Feely is doing a tremendous job, and I'm excited to have this guy. I'm excited. This ended up being, like you said, the things that were going on with Gus Felder are unacceptable on so many levels, because people don't understand this, that it's not just your strength and conditioning suffers when you have player workouts that the strength and conditioning coach doesn't show up for. Mm-hmm. It hurts your entire team, because all those young guys are seeing that and going, "Well, wait a second, you're not holding this grown man accountable. You can't hold me accountable."
Exactly.
If he didn't take the workouts that seriously, why should I? Because at the end of the day, I understand that there should be player accountability, but from some of the things that we heard that were going on under Gus Felder, it's kind of understandable to see players saying, "Well, why should I work that hard?
Why? Exactly."
If you're not firing him for not showing up, what are you gonna do?
Oh yeah.
100%. So this was a really important hire, and I'm really big fan of David Feely's in his short time, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do with so many of these talented guys to get them in the best shape possible. So when the fourth quarter comes around, it's our quarter. So when we throw up those four fingers at the end of the fourth quarter, it's going to mean something.
Absolutely. 100%.
So we'll go to the last one.
Let's go ahead and go to the last one. David Cooney, who's the director of recruiting. He has a deep roots in the South Florida football community. He, prior to his current role, he spent 2 seasons as a quality control analyst for the Miami Hurricanes, assisting with wide receivers. Before his arrival to Coral Gables, Cooney served as offensive coordinator for the Miami Southridge Spartans, who won the 2016 8A state championship under his guidance. And Cooney's one that that's he's been praised by the wide receivers especially.
Mhm.
And I think Amon Richards was one that was really campaigning for him to get some kind of position on the new Hurricanes coaching staff.
Because he was one of the assistants under Matt Doherty, who was the director of recruiting, and Manny promoted him to being the director of recruiting, and
Right.
obviously fired Matt Doherty.
Right.
Um, Again, I don't think Matt Doherty did a bad job, and I think Matt Doherty was a good director of recruiting.
Mhm.
But Manny saying, we got one guy from the Tri-County area in 2019. That's unacceptable. You have to go. And
Yeah.
David Cooney, by all accounts, was key in getting KJ Osborne,
Mhm.
was key in keeping some of those recruits like that we already had committed, like Marcus Fleming and the like.
Mhm.
Um, I really like this hire. The only thing is, I don't know how long he's going to stay as director of recruiting. He's such a bright, smart young guy that chances are you could be, if it doesn't work out with Taylor Stubblefield, you
Mhm.
could be looking at the new wide receivers coach and David Cooney, because I think ultimately that's what he wants.
That's
He
what he
doesn't
wants.
want to stay on the he doesn't want to stay on the administrative side. I do think he wants to go into coaching.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so we'll see. But in terms of a hire, I love the hire.
Yeah.
I love the hire. I mean, you even see him when the few times I've gotten a chance to see him, he always looks full of energy. He looks like one of those guys that has a contagious personality.
Mhm.
Um, and I think we got ourselves a gem there in terms of a young guy who's really, really going to go places.
Yeah.
And but we'll see how long he stays as director of recruiting. But I do like the fact that they gave him the promotion. I think it was well deserved. Um, and you never know. Maybe he changes his mind and he wants to still stay on the administrative end
Right.
of the game, and not necessarily the coaching end. But it looks like, at least to me, that I think ultimately he wants to be a coach and could end up as a coach on the Miami staff.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. But I do like it. And like I said, nothing against Matt Doherty, because I do think he was a good director of recruiting, and he was key to really helping us reestablish our relationships with the coaches in Florida, in
Mhm.
South Florida especially.
Right.
So I'm not knocking Matt Doherty,
Mhm.
because that was one of the problems under Al Golden, that we really didn't have good relationships with all our base. And that's our recruiting base.
Yeah.
And you have to know all those high school coaches. I want a director of recruiting like David Cooney. If I grab his cell phone, I want to see Carroll City's head coach, Miami Northwestern's head coach,
Oh yeah.
American Heritage. I want to see all those coaches in that phone,
Yeah.
and building those relationships with those guys from a very, from a grassroots level, even before high school, even those youth leagues.
Mhm.
So those are all important, and getting a guy who's high energy. And like I said, I'm not knocking Matt Doherty at all. I understand why Manny fired him. I do, because accountability. You get one guy from the Tri-County area in an entire class, not acceptable. But I do like David Cooney quite a bit.
Yeah. Me too.
So,
Yeah.
so you got anything else to add there?
No. I think that basically wraps it up, man.
Let me give people some other names to know that we didn't cover more in depth, but I do think they're worth mentioning. Um, well, Joel Rodriguez, we knew. I'm just going over guys that I think the Miami fam, um, knows about, or should be mentioned at least. Andy Vaughn,
Pata, Van Dyke.
right. Andy Vaughn is director of player personnel. Uh, Edwin Pata, of course, the brother of the late Brian Pata, which, man, that's still, I don't know.
All right, we had a little glitch there, but yeah, you were going into the tragedy of Brian Pata.
Yeah.
It
It
was
just, listen, man, when you see a young man, basically at the start of his life, and it's not just because he's a University of Miami guy, because, even when I've seen it at other places, man, it just, I don't know, it just, breaks your heart to see a young guy who has, his whole life ahead of him and is full of potential, to get struck down over anything, but to get struck down in the way Brian did, that's I don't know, it's just doubly sad and just does something to me. But obviously we hired his brother,
Rest in
assistant
peace.
director.
Rest in peace to Brian.
Yeah, rest in peace, and to Brian Pata, obviously, and hired his brother Edwin Pata as assistant director of recruiting. Demarcus Van Dyke, Jesse Stone, really up and coming mind on the offensive side of the football. He is quality control for the offense, as is David Parker. Jesse Bird is quality control of the defense, and Dallas Crawford, graduate assistant, working with the cornerbacks.
I like
Might
that.
even do a little bit with the running backs also.
Yeah.
And obviously we always love seeing our guys coming back. So
For sure.
but I think that's covering all the hires. Obviously some couple of guys that I still want to see something.
Yeah.
And I think the jury's still out.
Mhm.
And some guys that I'm really excited about. But we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah. So yeah, we know that this one ran a little longer than usual, but I mean we wanted to go over all of the big hires at least. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Once again, leave a comment into any ideas maybe for future shows that you guys want to see us talk about. And always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with everybody you know. We're trying to grow this Canes fam, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Like I said, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just when you said like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share. Please leave comments. That interaction really helps us build our base, and it helps us when you guys do that. The way the YouTube algorithms work, it puts us higher up in the queues and really helps getting more Miami fans see our content and stuff like that, or more football fans or more sports fans.
Yeah.
So please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and leave us our comments. Give us some idea for future shows. Give us some ideas what you think about our coaching staff. Who are the people?
Sure.
Who are the people you're happy with? Who are the people that the jury's still out on? Who are maybe the one or two that you're not happy about?
Absolutely.
So and thank you guys so much for your support.
400 subscribers, baby. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
Listen, guys, we take zero credit.
Oh, today, wait a second. Hey, today actually makes, I know it's Saturday and you guys are probably not going to see the video until maybe, Sunday or Monday, but today actually marks 2 months exactly from our first uploaded video, and we're at 400 subscribers. And that's all. It's all you guys. You guys are the ones that got us there, So
our Canes fam's amazing.
Oh.
You guys telling your friends, you guys tweeting it out, you guys supporting us. We take zero credit for those 400 subscribers in a 2-month period, which is tremendous for us. You guys are the ones that deserve all the credit, because you're the ones that have helped us build this base, and we can't tell you how thankful we are for our Canes fam and for our sports fans in general. We did a live cast the other day. Let's do another live cast some point this week, and we'll take like hurricane questions and chop it up with you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, the live cast a couple of days ago, we had some technical issues, and we talked NBA finals, branching onto other sports. But we're always going to have a hurricane podcast or live cast every week for you guys, on top of the other sports that we talk about.
For sure.
So that's about it. But thank you all for joining us, and
as always,
it's all about the you.
It's all about the you, baby. We'll see you guys on the next one.
See you guys.
Brian Little.